Neil Armstrong made the first footprints on the moon. Today, July 20th, 1969, Armstrong took a 2-minute and 14-second moonwalk. He rode on the rocket Apollo 11. America had more Apollo flights before this one, but this was the first attempt at landing on the moon. Armstrong is the first to step on another world. He and astronaut Buzz Aldrin stuck an American flag down as a sign of peace for all mankind. It is definitely a giant step for the world, and especially for the United States. Neil Armstrong also has had an interesting early life as well. By the time he was 16, instead of having just a driver's license like most teenagers, Armstrong had a pilot's license. Armstrong received a U.S. Navy scholarship to Purdue University in 1947. After just 2 years, he participated in active duty with the Navy. Also, he won his jet wings at Pensacola Naval Air Station in Florida. He was the youngest pilot in his squadron at the age of only 20 years old. After, he got a degree in aeronautical engineering. He later transferred to the NACA High-Speed Flight Station. There, he became a skilled test pilot. While he was there, he was offered to become part of the American spaceflight program even though he showed little interest in astronomy. He was chosen as the pilot of the Dinosaur. It is an experimental aircraft that could leave our atmosphere, orbit the Earth, then come back and land like an airplane. In 1962 is when Armstrong decided to become an astronaut. He became America's first civilian astronaut. He went on many missions and lots of training before he was selected for the role of being the first man on the moon. He had a great training attitude. It was in January of 1969 that he was selected for being the commander of Apollo 11. It is a huge honor to be chosen for the first lunar mission. They took off from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida.
After 12 years of competing with the Soviet Union in the Great Space Race, America won with having the first man land and walk on the moon. It all began in 1957 when both nations began to build satellites to send first into space. Sputnik I was sent into orbit and remained there successfully. The Soviet Union was in the lead and later sent Sputnik II into orbit with an animal inside. In 1958, the U.S. began to catch up and finally sent the Explorer into orbit. By 1959, the Soviets had already sent Luna I to land on the moon, and it missed its target. It became the first to fly beyond Earth's orbit and orbit the Sun. U.S. sent Pioneer IV, and it too missed. Soviets sent Luna II, and it landed on the moon. Soviets sent Luna III, and it captured actual pictures of the moon. In 1960, both nations were occupied, trying to make cameras that could capture good pictures in space from satellites. Finally, in 1961, Soviets sent Yuri Gagarin to space. He became the first man in space. The Soviets claimed that the flight went flawlessly, but it was hidden that the aircraft almost spun completely out of control. In 1969, the U.S. finally did it. They sent the first man to the moon, successfully landed him, and returned him to Earth safely. The U.S. finally won the Great Space Race. Many things have happened on July 20th throughout the years. 1858, first use of tax stamps on cigarettes. 1868, first fee charged to see a baseball game. 1921, the first woman to preside over the House of Representatives. Jane Asher even publicly broke off her engagement with Paul McCartney. But this specific event in 1969 will forever be remembered, not only by America, but by the whole world, as we continue to advance together, and we can now recognize that Neil Armstrong truly did take one step for man and one giant leap for mankind.